and with drugs and all sort of stuff. None of that. Poor security on the port in Trinidad. And so people are able to get away with murder in Trinidad, jump on a boat and come to Tobago. And you're trying to come to Tobago to nab them on the streets. We don't want you to take them up on the streets of Tobago, take them up down in Port of Spain.
Prevention, better than cure.
And so when I decided, look, we're going to look for scanner, look for the cost of scanner, ask the people on the port to help us find the right type and model and all of that. And saying we are going to invest in it regardless of what it costs is because we are saying security is all of our business.
And that is what disturbs me, not Chief Secretary. That is what disturbs me because I know we all sat in the meeting, I was present, and we trying to work on this thing together. So statements like that just reverses everything. It collapses everything, the philosophy of what we're trying to work at. Which also even says to me that perhaps the thing that happened around the table is just lip service because this is a critical matter. You understand?
It is.
So, but I mean, we ain't want to take all night on that. Yeah, we don't want to take all night on that and so on. So today has been a big day.
Yes, it has.
And one of the things that I've said on the program is the way we're fighting, we're not protesting, we're not trying to respond to everything that's outside and so on. Our fight is to continue to do what we were elected to do, to provide the kind of governance, to provide, to improve the environment so that all our people can thrive and so on. And we have the Commonwealth Youth Games upon us, and a tremendous amount of work has been happening across the various spaces that that these games will be held. And of course, unfortunately, we have licensing officers harassing people who want to go to the games and all that. That's another story. But I want you to talk about the work generally, and then of course zeroing on the tour today, and we take some time and ventilate all that has happened and the commissioning of the facility in Corland. You know, what are your thoughts on that, your general feeling on that and so on. But let's talk about that. The general works that have been done in terms of preparation for the games.
Well, for the games, the executive agreed to expend $40 million in preparation for the games. Out of that $40 million, the THA built a brand new, spanking new beach sport arena. And we got to discuss the name again because some youth men from Blackrock bar me down in Corland there. And I said, listen, Corland is a part of Blackrock, right? I live on a street named Corland, something Blackrock. So you can't call it Corland, you have to call it Blackrock, right? But we'll treat it.
Sure.
So we have a spanking new facility. Over at Boko, we had to engage in ensuring we have things like flag poles up, fix the VIP area, the area for the media, the area for the bikes, to be the bike rack to go, to also ensure we have entry points from the beach over into the facility, and do some work along the streets that the riding will have to take place. We even did some resanding of a small portion of the beach there, because in that area we had some derelict boats parked up for quite a while, you know, so that we kind of open up the area some more for the public. At the Shore Park Recreation Ground, Shore Park Recreation Ground has not looked better in ages.
Agreed.
I got a place plenty time when I was in high school. And we know what the conditions were like. Every bathroom in that place is at first class standard. Locker rooms that did not exist before in the area. We had the grass, the turf redone by Mr. Devines. Tobagonian, by the way. We now have a media booth on the very top of the pavilion.
I never even know you could go on top.
Right, and that area was there for years.
Indeed.
But could not be used because it was not safe. But that was redone. There's now a whole rooftop available for viewing with railings and so on for security. So you have additional space for viewing the rugby and potentially when it's fireworks night to stand up there and take a nice view at the thing.
You gotta put a sign, no alcohol consumption.
On the height. So and we did it and you know at one point that facility in Shore Park went through different phases. There was a pavilion on the left hand side at one point, and then it was converted to some offices downstairs, and then it went to office upstairs, downstairs, and until sports move out, and then now it's completely back to sport. And then we went to Shaw Park Complex, and in Shaw Park Complex, and notice not saying Shaw Park Cultural Complex anymore, but Shaw Park Complex.
Yes.
Now can facilitate athletes, because we're putting all the necessaries for them, locker rooms and everything tippy-top shape. The facility now have coring on the ground that poles for both basketball and netball can descend into the ground safely. All of those things. We have the hard court with the extensions that Monk did for us. Beautifully done.
Indeed.
And in fact, Shaw Park Complex, we have a good amount of rooms. I can't remember the total number now, but certainly inching towards 20 rooms that just built out for a variety of needs by the Commonwealth Games. And so we are essentially punching above our weight. Because what we wanted to do was not to just spend the money and say, well, we have an event, and then when the event is done, everything pack up, and then we can again get a proper meet. So all the scoreboards we own, we paid for all our scoreboards and flew them in with Caribbean Airlines from the US, so that the scoreboards remain. So we did permanent infrastructural works, significant permanent infrastructure works, because we wanted to also ensure that after the games are complete, we can then progress with these facilities. I would like to see cricket back at Shaw Park in a big way. I want to see the ground be properly rehabilitated to engage possibly first-class cricket if possible. I want to see Shaw Park Complex used during this rainy season. This is basketball and netball season. And the good thing is we have perfected the art with a team of young people that they could put down and take up them courts in under an hour. So in other words, you could go a big fete now, jump up, a big concert now, a Jesus rally inside it now. The show shut down, finish, and you gone home. And in an hour, 2 hours, we have a basketball game happening in the same facility. So we have that to an art, to a science right now. And of course, Black Rock at the beach sport arena, you know, is the only one of its kind in the Caribbean region. They tried to build one in Trinidad, but it's nowhere remotely close to what we have here now. It's first class, it's green, it's modern, it's state-of-the-art public infrastructure. And what that does, it helps us to engage in several non-traditional sports. And I want Tobago and Tobagonians to start pushing in other directions. We tend to support heavily cricket, football, track and field. But I want to start to support some of the non-traditional sporting events. And more than that, I made the point that this facility at Black Rock, at Colin Black Rock, is really and truly intended for the community. And I would hate to see that place being locked up permanently, that the community can't use it, that them fellas can go there and sweat. My only thing is maintain the place. Don't mash it up. Keep it in good stead. And it's part of our thrust for us to invest in new sporting facilities, invest in rehabilitating the ones we have. So for sure, a major target coming up for us soon will be the tennis courts at Shaw Park. Major. We know we have to invest in fixing that place. It's really in a bad state.
Before you go further, I don't want to forget this. The Minister for Sport and even and this is something that's been in the air a long time, about giving the public the impression that we in Tobago just hijack the beach volleyball and so on from Pigeon Point without process, because they keep saying there was a contract and all this kind of thing. The contradiction is that on the one hand, you know, you're hearing some remarks as if they want to take credit for the works at Black Rock, but at the other hand, you hear them going back to this thing. Is very confusing and conflicting. I mean, I was even called by a media person from Trinidad, and referring some of the statements made by the Minister for Sport and so on. And maybe it is useful for us to just take a minute and say what happened with that.
Sure. Well, early in the year,
Mm-hmm.
when it came, as I mentioned today, since 2022, Assistant Secretary Clark and I were discussing about a beach sport facility.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, we felt it was the cheapest sport facility to build, and to build it at international standard, and to build it in quick time.
Mm-hmm.
We always felt that. And so when the opportunity came, because it's an opportunity that arose out of disrespect. Let me put that on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we came into office, what we met, the arrangement we met, and you see, people who are dishonest can't remember their lies.
Mm-hmm.
The arrangement we met was one where Tobago was doing track and field.
Yes.
In fact, that was announced and we were preparing for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of the blue, without,
Yes.
and again, you see, they like to talk about people not reaching out to them and collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult to do that when you are disrespected.
Of course.
So we were told initially we will do track and field. And then nobody officially said anything to us.
Right.
We just hear through the
Yes.
media,
Yes.
track and field staying in Trinidad and Tobago doing the group sports.
Yes.
That is how it went.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Right.
so.
I remembered, yes.
But when that came up and we said, okay, we have to do the beach sport, we didn't make any noise. We didn't cuss and tell them where we were, track and field or take the whole thing and leave it. We didn't do any of that. When they came, we said, all right, no problem. It's your thing. You take where you want, you give me where you want.
Which you just do
right?
normally.
Which is what you do normally,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So we humble ourselves and we say, all right, not a problem at all. Initially, when Pigeon Point came up, I met with the LOC. I was there with Assistant Secretary Clark, with the local organizing committee. Miss Nutt and they brought up where they need to bring up from Trinidad. We sat at Shore Park and had a meeting. And in that meeting, I told them very frankly that we are building a beach sport facility, that this administration is not in favor of doing a temporary thing in Pigeon Point. Pigeon Point has environmental challenges as it is. The area that this would have to go will inch towards the mangroves on the other side. If rain falls, you'll be challenged because the water table will rise and water from the swamp will come across into where the playing field ought to be.
We had some major erosion there last year.
We had some major erosion there last year. You saw what happened during the October Carnival, the Tobago Carnival. Where the events had to move from there.
Collapse of a scaffolding and things.
During Great Fete last year, the collapse of a all of those things. We said, no, Pigeon Point tired. It's abused and overused. So let's build something new. I indicated to them we have the fresh land in Black Rock. The land is available, it's state land. We don't need to purchase the land. When it's state land, it's THA land. We don't need to buy it. We don't need anything. We can just go in and cut the land and use it. It's ours.
Yes.
Right? The committee said, okay, not a problem. What they will do is that they will have to bring the Commonwealth officials to see the property before there is an agreement.
Right.
That happened.
Yes, I met the team myself.
Right, because you and Clark went and met the team.
Sure.
You showed them the area.
Yes.
They, the Commonwealth people, agreed and said, yes, it is not a problem.
Right.
You can proceed and do that. And then, surprisingly, we start hearing chatter about whether we should do that. It's Pigeon Point we catered for. Who tell Tobago they could move it to there.
Right.
And it reached a point where I basically said, look, the THA is offering Black Rock for beach sport. Take it or leave it. Right? Take it or leave it. We invested the money in it. We took our time to build it. There were concerns about the timelines and whether we will finish on time. I would have loved if we could have done the opening a week ago, 2 weeks ago. In fact, our aim was to get everything finished by the 21st of January. But as you can see, we went beyond that by a week and a half thereabout. It's no secret this sand took long to get to Tobago, but the sand was always meant to be the very last thing to put into the space, because you also don't want, when you're doing construction, where you may have nails, where you may have wood chips, and so on, and the sand being contaminated at the same time. So even if the sand had come earlier, the sand would have had to be stored off-site and wait until the very last minute to be brought on-site. We had a wonderful design where we on the leading of one of your engineers, Mr. Allen, that we will terrace the land in the most the most responsible manner to avoid channel erosion and so on. So the land is terrace, and when I say the land is terrace, those will be grassed completely. And if you realize there are railings going up on the terraces, which will allow for patrons, well, railings and steps, allow for patrons if they wish to picnic out on the terrace and watch the games and all of those things. So we envision something beautiful. And it would appear that throughout the process that some people wish it failed, wish it didn't come off, wish that it did not succeed, wish that for some reason the thing just will not happen. And my thing is, if you so love Tobago and concerned about Tobago, your wish should have always been this thing will succeed. And perhaps ask the question, what can I do to help it succeed? That question was never asked. We battled it on our own. We worked it out with the task force. We did what we need to do. I called who I needed to call. I talked to people in Guyana. I had people go down, look at the quarry where the sand coming from, make sure the thing on the boat, checking the thing coming up the river, make sure the bridge open for them to pass. All of these things to work out to ensure that the thing got to Tobago on time. In fact, at the opening of the Caribbean Amateur Golf Tournament, the minister shared a concern about whether it will be finished on time with me, and I felt that was a legitimate concern that she shared. When she shared it, I assured her, I said the sun will get here by Sunday. We will get the grounds finished by Wednesday. The sun did in fact get here by Sunday. We got the grounds finished by very late Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and we opened it on Thursday, handed it over so that they can now use it for the next 2 weeks or so. And when they are through, there are additional things we want to do in this space to make it even superior to what it is now. So that this thing is long lasting, so that we have sport development out of it. Again, it's not a white elephant. It's not just look at pretty white sand. It's not just a pass and say, I have a nice thing in my area, and they pass and take a picture, but it's for you to use. It's for you to bring your children on the evening so they can run about. But we have to take care of it, which means that we have to use the bins around the premises. We're not dumping stuff. We're not trying to put anything that will contaminate the sand, and be managing our use of the space in the most responsible manner.
Indeed. You know, one of the things that stood out to me, and I mentioned it today, is when we looked at the timeline, because of course there was no point of reference for something like this. This is the first time we're doing something like this. And I remember very early, I had a conversation with the contractor and so on, and he was saying, you know, this thing is possible. We might have to work nights and so on, but it is possible, and very early. And I was telling him today that this is emblematic of the undauntedness of the human spirit, that when you decide and you set your mind to get something done, and of course with God's help, that all things become possible. And I feel, I really felt a sense of pride today in what we were able to do in such a short space of time. And I mean, since we started this journey, it's been turbulence after turbulence, and so on, you know, from day one. And we have seen organizations.
As a man of the cloth, you should appreciate that great promises and great possibilities are birthed out of chaos.
Indeed.
Jesus' birth didn't come in the best of times. He had to pay taxes, walk 1,000,000 miles, born among animals. Then a man want to chop off your head and you're barely born. You have to run and hide in Egypt, all kind of thing. Great possibilities are often birthed in chaos. So I'm not worried about the noises.
And that's a salient point. I also notice that there are some people that function really good under pressure. You understand? In fact, and I saw that too, especially in the manifestation of. I saw a manifestation of Mr. Clark, Assistant Secretary Clark, that I never saw before. You know, and I keep saying that his work has been commendable, second to none. Sleepless nights almost, you know, spending on in the different spaces to make sure that this stuff were ready and things were happening and so on. And I feel that all of us in Tobago must be.
Can I throw a little political banter? But
Yes,
it's a
you
political
can.
show.
Yes.
The last sporting facility I believe was built on the island was done by education. That's the Kendall pool. So, and I think that was done probably by Cadet as Secretary of Education.
Yes, so I heard.
At the time.
Yes.
But Mr. Clark is taking over management of sport from another Lambo man who was here and couldn't complete a single sporting facility in his time, and Clark could complete one in under 2 years. I just wanted to point that out for all us in all and sundry. Yes.
And that's a good thing to make note of, to take note of, and so on. Chief, you know what? I want us to take another break.
Yes.
And then we will come back. We're going into the final segment. Time always flies when you say incest.
But
you know, to understand, and I need to invest in a different kind of clock. All right, but we're taking a break. We're having a very interesting conversation with the Chief Secretary here. We'll be right back. Remember to share the information with somebody who you think this information will be of benefit.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
I'm Roxanne Hepburn, the Managing Director of La Marche Parfait Day Spa. And now guess what? We're in Tobago and we are so excited to serve Tobago. La Marche Parfait Day Spa Tobago will be open to the public from Monday the 5th. Some of the services that you can access would be infrared body steam, spa parties, body treatments, massages, pedicures, manicures, waxing, carbiation, radio, and lipo slimming and cellulite wrap treatment. We are located at number 1 Main Road, Barrington's Court, Bonaccord Village.
Chief Secretary, the countryman who running tongue, and running tongue like a boss. You understand? But Chief, we want to just segue a little bit and talk about the politics now and the political climate in Tobago and the party that is on the horizon, shall I say, to be launched officially and all that kind of stuff and the importance of that at this particular point in time in the war. You understand? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's massively important. In fact, that is part of the reason why the thing is getting to the kind of headway that it is getting to. In fact, to be honest with you, I think our opponents would have been satisfied if post the Watsonian era, we had remained disorganized. They would be satisfied with us remaining that way. But from the moment we started being organized and pulling the people of Tobago, and they started realizing while they could barely muster 12 people in a room, we had rooms being filled at could not contain everybody, that they felt like they needed to do something extraordinary to upend this movement. And so they have enlisted the assistance of the TTPS to engage in political persecution. And I say that without any fear, because there's a difference between prosecution and persecution. Prosecution happens upon solid evidence and intelligence. Persecution happens when you don't care that there isn't any evidence of wrongdoing, that there isn't any real intelligence to suggest that something wrong happened, but you must still target, embarrass, and cause reputational harm to those involved. So that's political persecution. And I wonder if that might give a reason for the stance being taken by TTPS Tobago. But that's another story.
Yes.
And so what we have to do as a team is to find a way to stay focused.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, if we are to spend time responding ceaselessly to all the noises and so on, then what time would we have to do the work that we have to do?
Indeed.
If we will focus only on all the negative pressures being applied, then BlackRock will not have happened today.
Right.
Because that would have been where our attention would have been. We wouldn't have time to study about a new facility and all of that. And so the call that I make tonight, and I've been making through the last couple of weeks, is really for Tobagonians to rally behind Tobago. And I want to say this clearly. We can't be the Tobago that went up to Roxbury and protest because a prime minister come to open a gas station in Tobago, right? Open a gas station in Tobago, went and protest, breach a protocol. There's a chief sec here. What you doing coming up to open facility here?
Yes, same thing with the MIC Center down in Canaan.
MIC
I
Center,
was there.
big protest. You know why? Because education is a 5th schedule item under the THA.
Right.
But more than that, what was even more obscene, we found ourselves on an island on a Sunday morning when people should be going to church and praying. They protested at church in Plymouth because
I was there as well.
Because an outside prime minister.
I was there as well.
Inside the people church in Plymouth.
I was there. I was there.
They protested the church. What's she doing there?
Sure.
What the puja working woman doing in the church? We protested it.
Yes.
How can we get to 2023 and it be okay for the same people who protested against those incursions then to now want to commit those incursions because they are not in power in Tobago? And I'm saying, as long as I'm chief secretary, I will have none of it.
Right.
I don't care who says that I am disrespectful. Respect must be earned.
Sure.
And he who earns my respect gets it in an unfettered way.
Sure.
If you earn it, I'll leave you by yourself. I'll ignore you. Right? You can't disrespect the THA, disrespect the institution, and expect me to just, curtsy, bow?
Because it's the office they really disrespect.
We have none of that. Because my position is, I will not always be chief secretary.
Indeed.
My neighbor, Stringberry in Speyside, it's them buried down in Hampden Lowlands. Right? It's Speyside. Speyside born, Speyside bred, and when I dead, I'll be a Speyside dead. So I have no affinity, no sort of relation to the post of chief secretary, to the point, to the extreme that I will go crazy if I'm not chief sec. But the point is, someday I will not be chief sec. And when I'm not chief secretary, the institution that is the Tobago House of Assembly must remain solid. And he or she or whomever might be chief secretary at that time should have the courtesy of an institution that has the ability to operate in the most autonomous manner. And therefore, I cannot accept at any point that the institution as a THA is being distressed, destroyed, being caused reputational damage by outsiders, because that's what they are, outsiders, with some sympathizers in Tobago, who I will call confused Tobagonians, because no real Tobagonian sits and allows disrespect on the THA. Only confused Tobagonians will allow that. And so I am not going to allow it whatsoever. And I don't care if it ruffles feathers. I don't care if people feel sick to the stomach. you might be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, but you're not Prime Minister of the THA, right? And as far as I'm concerned, when you get to number 1 Jerningham Street, your power ends, right? Because when you get in through the gate of the east, west, and northern gate of number 1 Jerningham Street, what happens there is outside of your reach and the limits of your power and authority.
That's just the way going,
right?
man.
Right? If you wish, you can share advice liberally. We don't have to take it.
But Chief, as I say that.
But you can't instruct.
Yes, because he's saying, well, trying to see, because sometimes people give the impression that the Prime Minister have superior knowledge, and that is so far from the truth. Almost trying to say that the protections that apply in the Parliament is not the same protection that apply in the House.
No, because he's saying Tobago is like a small kennel. It's a small dog pen, right? And the Parliament is about the big dog pen. But guess what? If the Prime Minister had proper advisors, if the Prime Minister used to read often, he would have picked up the Act 40 of 1996 and he would have seen written right there, big and bold. There are 3 paragraphs written about the privileges and the protections of the House, that is the THA. And it goes further. It also says that if there is anything in the Act that doesn't give us protection, the protection we have is to the extent to which it happens in the Parliament in Trinidad. It actually says so. So in other words, if the Parliament in Trinidad expands the protection in the Parliament in Trinidad, but they did not amend the THA Act 40 of 1996 to have such similar expansions, it means that the protections by the expansions in the Parliament in Trinidad is also available to the Tobago House of Assembly. And not just when we sit in a regular sitting, it's available at committee hearings, which means that if you invite outsiders to a committee hearing, they enjoy the same protection. That's a fundamental legal principle that has been tried and tested in the courts across the Commonwealth. So, but the same thing is, the Prime Minister does not see the institution as being of the THA as being valuable. He doesn't want it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't appreciate it. In fact, he never supported it coming into place. Ask Sochoy and them. Go back and find the Hansard records. See what he said about Act 40 of 1996. What were his positions then? And I assure you the same antagonists to Act 40 of 1996 in 1996 are the same antagonists now who happen to also be leaders of the country. But I have a simple position, you know. My position is I generally don't care what happened in the Parliament and the politics in Trinidad as a principle. If it affects Tobago, I am going to speak out. So, for example, there is a piece of legislation being considered now about fisheries. Right? And as an executive, we are saying to the secretary with responsibility for fisheries, look, have some public consultations, educate Tobagoans and get their input so that we can advocate on their behalf because there are implications for Tobago. But outside of circumstances like that, sometimes the media call and ask me for my opinion on things that I really don't care. And I don't care who misbehave in the Parliament, who underbehave, who do what. I don't care. I try to leave them. I don't care about Trinidadians. I care about their lives and their livelihoods, and I wish nothing but absolute best for them. I wish greatness upon them. As a matter of fact, I bless them every morning in my prayers. But beyond that, I will not support any interference from anybody in my government in the politics in Trinidad. Stay out of it.
Of course.
And therefore, my only wish is that be reciprocated in the Tobago space. Stay out of our business.
You know, Chief, this stance that you have taken, and by extension the executive, I thought about it and I say, you know, this may well be setting the foundation for us getting to that place, this autonomy and this constitutional relationship, which, you know, I had Anselm on the program and he kept saying that, and it is so true, that in order for us to realize the true, shall I say, the truism of our destiny as it relates to the kind of Tobago we want to see, that there must be an addressing of the constitutional.
Has to be.
You
Let me tell you
understand?
something. people don't understand it. I don't know if Tobagonians understand how this autonomy question impacts our day-to-day lives. You feel you could really and truly get progress and growth on an island when every minute you have to look over your shoulder and worry about whether somebody will come to undo what you have done.
Yes.
You think you get progress on an island. Imagine, and I made a point to somebody earlier today, since November of 2020, we sit down in the house there. Was only 3 of us on the minority council there. And we unanimously agree to pass this bill for marine parks across Tobago. We passed the thing. We agree. In fact, I take time out. I went down Boko. I talked to the fisher folk down there because someone was starting to get irate because I think the thing would have prevent them from being able to sail through the marine park, and they live there, they grew up there, they can't go there and swim.
Right.
And I went down there, not my district, then nothing to do with me, but as a responsible politician at the time, I went down there and I sat with them and I had conversations with the Boko people about how they felt about this thing. And went to the house and I said to my team, we're backing this thing. It is needed. We need to control the touting happening down in Storby. It's needed. Right. And this thing was being championed by the then, I would say, acting chief secretary. Right? The then acting chief secretary. The one who kick out the next man and took up the post.
Indeed.
And
but you know, when you kick out people, somebody else kick you out too.
Well,
life is like
life
that.
is funny. But not only that, we supported it. That's 2020. We're in 2023. That has not made its way to the parliament floor yet. Clearly, Tobago business is not priority on save and except if it's something they want to rip out of Tobago.
Indeed.
Especially our resources. It's not a priority at all. So it didn't come up. But why should we have to ask somebody else permission to legislate over a marine park in Tobago space? That might not be Trinidad's consideration. They want large manufacturing sector. They want big industrialized economy. We want clean, green, safe, and serene, and all of these things that never got realized since the CDP 2.0. And I'm saying Tobago must have an opportunity to chart its own course, to be able to have socio-economic development the way it wants to. Why do we have to ask somebody else permission for that? That is to me is just unfair. And for people talking about a load of foolishness, foolishness they're talking. I ask myself if they just don't go on Google. Just go, even in a book, just Google the thing. You will see across the Commonwealth examples of power being devolved from the center to outlying region. It's not. This is not a new arithmetic for Trinidad and Tobago. We're not trying to create something that is so novel and new. In fact, we're behind. Little St. Kitts and Nevis have a federation.
Of course.
Right? And with the federation they have, Nevis has a federal government, but St. Kitts doesn't have one. You go to the United Kingdom, you have what they call devolution of powers. Scotland has broad sweeping powers, so is Wales and so on. You look at the arrangement for Isle of Man and Ireland and all of those things. And I'm saying, but clearly the world is replete with examples of how power can be devolved from the center.
But
so why make this thing come up as though it's some hard maths?
But the reason, and you said it before, and Slim said it on the program, the purse of Tobago is just too lucrative to give up.
Exactly, because when you look, so if you look now at what is made from gas, gas coming out of Tobago waters, it's in and around $4 billion. We are projected to make about $19 billion coming out of the Calypso field, and that is to come, right? But right now, about $4 billion in revenues given to the country. None of the taxes that is paid in Tobago. Granted, the law says if you do business in Tobago, all taxes must be paid in Tobago. None is paid in Tobago. But granted, those gas fees are outside of the 6-mile radius around the island for which we have some jurisdiction in the Act 40 of 96. And I'm saying every year they deliberately trump up this narrative and are not letting go those who are in the opposition in Trinidad either. I'm not letting them go either. I know you are a member of the People's Partnership at that time. But I am not letting them go either because you hear the narrative coming from both quarters that Tobago getting too much. I keep wondering if they really understand what is too much. How is $4.08 out of $100 really too much for giving Tobago? And all we're asking for is to carry it up to $6 and some cents.
Yeah.
We're not even asking for $10. We really need $10, but we're not asking for $10. And what I've done consistently over the last 2 budgets was to confine Tobago's budgetary expectations to that $6 and some cents, $6.80, and not even $10. So we're not even trying to be unreasonable with the thing. And my thing is, you can't hold us down for your own progress. You will never see your way. You know, it come like, I don't know if you've ever been in class with a selfish classmate.
All of us have.
Who want all the notes, all the books, all the homework, all everything. The day they men come school, they want your book to do all their work.
Of course.
You lend them the book, they take your book, they carry it home, they keep it as long as they want, and so on. The day you ain't come school, they don't want to give it. Right? You miss something the teachers say they had a book, so. Right? Because they feel somehow that if they share knowledge, if they share the thing with you, it will deprive their growth. That is how Trinidad behaving with Tobago. As if somehow you share the thing equitably with Tobago, that it will deprive Trinidad's growth. You really haven't been sharing it equitably with Tobago. And the growth have been deprived nonetheless. So clearly, God kind of probably put a little blight on them because they've been unfair to us on a smaller island. And one more point I wish to make. In every construct where there is a larger island and a smaller island, there's always the risk that the identity of the country will be subsumed by the larger island. That is natural. The larger, they have more numbers, they can make more noise, easier to be recognized. And I asked someone today, I said, if you were Tobagonian, how would you feel if the entire country is called a Trini? You ever thought about that? You ever thought about the Tobagonian child and what his or her identity ought to be? And the fact that his identity is often not featured as part of that identity that is Trinidad and Tobago, and that sometimes is just completely ignored. And I'm not just talking government here. I'm talking culturally. I'm talking about the private sector and so on. I'm talking about the people who so habitually say Trinidad that they forget that there is an and something after the and. That who, for all intents and purpose, when they have even the training for national teams, they don't consider for a moment that there are people from Tobago who ought to, to participate.
Man, even when they're naming districts, Tobago always last if they have aid. I keep wondering why.
And there's a habitual, a traditional government policy of and one for Tobago.
Indeed.
We all grew up in this thing where you're doing anything and it's always and one for Tobago without consideration for whether one is sufficient for Tobago. Even if you look at how EBC does the thing, no consideration for where people live. Look at my district, for example. I thought with the redistricting of the zones, that the thing would have been done in a way that would make more sense based on how we live culturally.
Well, it really wasn't designed to make sense.
But clearly somebody just look at the map and say, okay, this cut off this top piece, that is one district. They don't understand. They don't even know the distance between Charlottesville and Lansing, and it's that nobody lives there in the interval between Charlottesville and Lansing. They don't appreciate that the two furthest points in the district are more than 45 minutes apart from each other, unlike any other district on the island. So, as area rep, I got the luxury of some who could say, well, I could pass through my district in a day. When I give out toys to Christmas, it's all 2-3 days it can take me. Because if I have to go from Delaford where it starts to Charlottesville and then to Lansing and come down on the other side, so then 2-3 days, I got the luxury where I could just make a straight drive. It doesn't, and that's because nobody considered for a moment the way we live, how our villages are located. None of those things. They just felt, okay, this is it. We just stop here. You go there.
Yeah, well, I mean, every my partner used to say a blind man with bored glasses could have seen that it was the whole thing was to try and give them an advantage the way they did it. You understand? But I have I've conceded a long time ago, and I keep saying it, that there's been divine work to bring us where we are. When we look at the disadvantages that we were at, when we look at, it seems as if we were outnumbered, we were out-resourced, and all of that. I felt that we are on a divine mission, right? And we look at the obstacles that we have faced, the how you call it, the Watsonian era, the post-Watsonian era, and there were times that we felt, all right, you know, we could keep flying here, but there was just one thing after the other, and so on, and it just seems to me that our ability to continue to give the kind of leadership that Tobago requires, that it seems to be emerging more and more. I wonder if this is not the ideal time or the season where this that we've been going after for so long. Because it seems to me, Chief, that for us to get this thing realized, this autonomy realized, we need to get the entire Tobago behind this thing.
We have to listen. All of Tobago has to be mobilized behind it.
Yes.
There are Tobagonians who have become apathetic towards the cause. Tobagonians who have given up on the cause. Tobagonians who feel like, okay, it don't really matter. Will that give me a work? The answer is no. They do have the support for it. There are some Tobagonians who don't see it as a bread and butter issue. But you know what's my biggest fear? My biggest fear is that he or she that comes after me won't be as measured in their approach to this autonomy matter. My biggest fear is that I might be among the very last to make a case for internal self-government, the way Robinson and Dr. Murray and Charles and Pamela Nicholson and so many others envision it. That there is coming a generation and there will come a time when Tobagonians will say, to hell with that, we want to leave. And if you look at Robinson's speech in the parliament, which in my mind is the greatest parliamentary discourse anywhere in this country since independence. What he said to the parliament, one of the statements he made is that if this historical justice is not given to Tobago, then the country will eventually lose Tobago. That is what I don't want. Because I believe that we can get the greatest little planet on the island with constitutional autonomy within the framework that is Trinidad and Tobago. And I respect those in the space who believe otherwise. There's some who want full-blown secession.
Right.
And I respect those people. And the truth is, it's becoming harder each day to convince those people or to make an argument against those people that that is not best for Tobago, given what we see, given what we experience.
Right.
But the truth is, we have no desire to destroy that which is Trinidad and Tobago. What we want is the and Tobago to rise in equality and in a just manner to meet its partner, Trinidad.
Sure.
We can't have a situation. And I view Trinidad and Tobago as siblings, for whom was left this inheritance called Trinidad and Tobago, and all of the waters surrounding us. And we have the bigger brother by virtue of size, really, that decides, look, I want to control everything. I want to tell you how much you must get.
Right.
I want to tell you when you could get it and how you could get it. Right? All of our foreparents, from the indigenous peoples, from the slaves who were abused here, from the indentured laborers who came here, to even the colonial masters who once walked this place, left this as an inheritance for us all. And the bigger sibling is saying, I want to control you and control everything. And we, the smaller siblings, saying, but no, that's not fair. If they leave all of this, I no longer want to live downstairs the same house with you.
Right.
I want to look at all the land in the back there. Mommy and daddy left all of that for all of us.
Yes,
I
man.
want to go in the back there and build my
You
own
know
house.
those, man.
Because if I live downstairs of you, if I live downstairs of you, what will happen is that you will tell me what color curtains I must put
Of
up.
course.
I can't paint the outside the way I want to paint it.
But tell who to bring in
You
downstairs.
will tell me I can't play my stereo too
Right,
loud.
right,
I can't keep the birthday party there.
Right.
You will tell me who to bring in and who not to bring
Of
in.
course, of course.
But if I go back and build,
Yes, man.
we still have Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
But what we have are neighbors and family coexisting and sharing the same yard.
Of course.
So we dog could cross over in each other's
Of
yard.
course, of
Our
course.
children could still play
Yes,
with each other.
yes, yes.
We respect each other.
Yes.
When you're not home, I watch in your house.
Of course.
And ensure no thief and go there because
Yes.
you are my brother.
Yes.
When I'm not home, you're doing the same
Same,
for me.
yes.
But we exist in the same space equally. You have a nice house, I have a nice house. You control your house, I control my house.
Yes.
And together, we protect the boundaries of the entire property that is Trinidad and Tobago, and we fight off all outsiders
Yes.
who want to come and destroy us.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
is what we want.
Yes.
We don't want to have to go to court and find the best lawyer and say, look, this thing was left in will force,
Yes.
and my bigger brother want to take all.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm
yes.
going to court and
Yes.
contest this will
Yes,
so
yes.
that I will get my portion. Because
Yes.
if I do that,
Yes.
the court will rule and say, over there for me, over there for you,
Yes.
and I will be inclined to pull a fence
Of
between.
course, of course.
Me, I want no
Right,
fence
right,
between us.
right,
I
right.
want us to
I get
share
you. I
the
get-
property
I get
together.
you.
And I hope
I
that
get-
analogy is clear.
Yes, yes,
Especially
yes,
for
yes,
Tobagonians
yes.
who appreciate the value of real estate planning and estate planning and that kind of thing.
Yes.
That we are co-laborers in the vineyard, to use clerical terms.
Yes.
We are co-laborers in the vineyard. We want to work with you.
Yes.
But you can't say I want to work with us. And at the same time, we want to limit the kinds of powers we have to shape our own destiny. And that's what happened with the bill that they proposed. They want to give us a bill and say, if we will get some more money.
Yes.
But we're taking out the 6 mile thing.
Yes.
We ain't defining Tobago.
Yes, yes,
we ain't
yes,
getting
yes,
under the waters
Yes,
because
yes.
we must decide for you
Of
down in
course,
Trinidad
of course,
what
of course.
can happen or
Of
not
course,
happen in
of
your
course, of
waters
course,
and
of
all of
course,
those things.
yes.
You can't even do a marine park because we got to decide that
Of
for
course,
you.
of course, of
Right?
course,
No waters for
of
you.
course, of course.
And the same people who campaign and say we want 200 miles or nothing. Right? Remember the Kamala bill?
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
meant noise. If it's
Yes.
not 200 miles, they didn't want it.
Yes, yes, yes.
The
yes,
same red-faced hypocrites up and down now
Yes,
saying,
sir.
forget that.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
and
sir.
I will always call them hypocritical because that's what it is.
It is,
And
it
it
is.
shows that they are inimical to the interests of Tobago. It also shows that they have no real interest in Tobago's development but their own.
Yes.
And this is a bunch of people who choose their party over the
people.
self, over the people,
Yes.
over the country.
Yes.
The party is great,
Yes.
but the country could be in disaster and
Yes.
destruction.
Yes.
But the party must remain
Yes,
great.
yes,
You know what we did in TPP? When we saw all the turmoil and so on, we said, look, this party, all of us love the brand house PDP. You know? I love the color black.
Yes.
Listen, I wash out some clothes up by me old man the other day. If you see black jersey,
Yeah, I'm a bag.
but me ask me what to do because when you're campaigning, you have time to wash as often.
Right,
If you see bag of jersey,
Yes,
who
yes.
do you
Yes.
love the thing?
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
there came a point where we had to ask ourselves, do I love my island
Yes.
more than the brand and image of a political party? And the answer to that question was, my island is more important
Sure.
than the party.
Sure.
And I challenge anybody on the other side to say that the island of Tobago is more important than the party. They put their party in front.
Of course.
Every governance strategy that they have
Yes.
is about putting their party above the island
Sure.
of Tobago.
Sure.
Even some of the nonsense that they're trying to fill in space because they are about their party more than the island.
Indeed.
Not so much concerned about whether the party, the island develop or not. If you were so caring and concerned about Tobago, how come nobody ain't call and say, look, I hear you having problem to get sand. You want me call the president of Guyana for you? If you're so lovely,
Yeah.
you want me call me link down in Guyana to try to get not one of that,
No,
but
no.
except that they had wish that the
Yeah.
thing will
Yeah,
collapse
man,
and fail.
Yes, yes,
when
yes.
when we were one time, Mr. Nelson, He had his excavator burn up. And Mr. Nelson did that without getting pay up front.
Yes.
We owe Mr. Nelson real money.
Yes.
Without getting pay up front. His excavator got burnt. He rented an excavator. And then wicked people send somebody to say, look, since Nelson ain't paying you on time for the excavator, take it from him.
Yes.
Right? Take it, knowing that you don't have any other.
Yeah.
I ain't hear none of them say, well, you want help? Let me send up 2 excavators from Trinidad for you to help you do that. But at the same time, you after the thing succeeded beyond your wildest expectations, beyond your machinations and your plan and your distraction and your contortions, then you somehow hope to be a benefactor of the praises from Tobago for the thing happening. And the truth is, I can't stomach that kind of selfish politics.
The Antigua said, nothing tall go so. Nothing go so. Nothing go so. Nothing go so. Chief, it's amazing. The time has rushed away from us here at Tobago Updates. And we discussed a wide array of matters tonight. I am very, very thankful that you were able to come. And I know that these conversations are going to continue. I would just like, your closing thoughts, where we are at this particular point in time, and what should the people of Tobago expect from this administration and the direction that you want to take this.
Well, let me say 2 sets of things. The first is, a line is drawn in the sand.
Yes.
You're either on the side of Tobago or you're anti-Tobagonian. You can be Tobagonian by birth, BIRTH, and be anti-Tobagonian.
Yes.
And I've come to realize that there are some self-loathing, self-hating Tobagonians out here. Just recently, I heard the leader of Burkina Faso saying that there should be no sympathy given to a slave who refuses to rebel when the opportunity presents itself to rebel. And I share that opinion. If in this moment, when the line is drawn in the sand between Tobago and its adversary, the PNM, because it's as Dr. Jeff put it, it's PNM versus Tobago.
Indeed.
Now that the line is drawn or redrawn, if you are not on the side of Tobago, then one must conceive that you are an enemy of Tobago, even if you are Tobagonian by birth. And that, in my mind, that cannot be tolerated and ought not be tolerated. That's antisocial behavior. It is destructive to the body corporate that is the Tobago House of Assembly.
Right.
But on the other hand, I wish to use this opportunity to assure Tobagonians that your island's government is well focused and well trained to deliver to the people of Tobago. There are many things, even in the chaos that we deliver, that got lost in the noise. I'm sure many of you didn't hear or see that we were launching bamboo shade houses around the island. I'm sure many of you did not notice in that period that we were spending our largest bulk of money on school repairs, 43 plus million. Many of you didn't notice that we spent the most on gratuity in the longest while. Still can't pay out all yet, but spent the most on gratuities for teachers and increments in the longest while. Did not notice it. Did not notice that so many other great things happened because of the noises. Stay focused, Tobago. Keep your shoulders to the wheel.
Yes, man.
We can get this done. We will get this done. We will create the greatest island on the planet. But for that to happen, it means you have to be greater than somebody else.
Indeed.
And that will create for us natural enemies. But if God is on our side, then of whom shall we be afraid?
Yeah, man.
I mean, if Jesus sleeping in the vessel, man, let the storm come.
Yeah, man.
Let water come in, I got bail out the water and keep pressing on.
Yeah.
I come from a fishing village and know what it is. You're going through big wave and sea tumbling over and water coming in. And while somebody steering the engine in the back there, the rudder in the back there, you have a piece of a Clorox bottle, you cut,
Yes.
and you're dipping out seawater,
Yes,
and you're
yes,
tossing
yes,
it out.
Yes,
We're
man.
accustomed to that.
And worst case scenario, we wake him up, and
Worst case scenario, we wake him up. And even if you get up, the most you gonna do is get back and say, "What are you worried about? Once I hear everything's safe,
Right,
well,
right,
everything's safe."
right,
We have
right,
sea
right.
car drunk talk
Right,
with me.
right.
We have sea car drunk talk with
Hey, this is a good note to
me. We
end
shall
on.
survive this.
Indeed. Viewers, thank you so much for spending this time with us tonight. We thank the Honorable Chief Secretary for coming by. It has been another installation of Full Disclosure here. We trust that you've been informed, edified, inspired even, and encouraged. The line has been drawn in the sand. We're not backing down. We're not backing down. If you teach people how to treat you, they will learn after a while. And it must be known by all and sundry that we want our rights, what have been constitutionally due to us, we want it, and we don't want it next week and next year. We want everything now. Tobago needs to be built out now, and that is what we are about. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on another Full Disclosure. God bless.